Hello and welcome to Techie Hive. In the previous video, we talked about what is AI large language model and how does it work. We also touched upon what all popular AI models are available in market today for AI development. We also subscribe to one of the AI model called Mistral AI and generated API is key. And after that, we used that API key to call the model from Insomnia. If you have not watched that video, please watch it to get started. Today we will develop a small chat API using Spring, Java, and Mistral AI. So to get started, we will use a Spring framework. So we can use a Spring Initializr for creating the startup project. So if you go to the start.spring.io, you will see screen like this. And here you can specify different options to get the startup project created. For our project, we will use Maven. Maven is the tool to build applications and Java. And also we will use Spring Boot version 353. And after that, we have the project related information. So here we can just put something over here like Spring for AI, Spring for AI. This is just my group ID. And then I can just put Spring.ai as artifact ID, and then here we have the package name. If you know Java, you know what is the package name here, right? Because we are building API, so we will use packaging as jar and Java version 24, right? So these are the settings for the language and the Maven and the project, right? Now we need to specify dependencies because we want to develop uh, small chat API. So we will include dependency called Spring Web. Spring Web. So just type Spring and then you will see here Spring Web. We have included this over there. After that, because we will use Mistral AI, then we can just include that one as well. So now we have dependencies included. So if we had created the keys for any other model, let's say for Azure OpenAI, then you can select Azure. Sorry, this is Open. Yeah, here you go. So Azure OpenAI, and you can just click and then include this. But in our case, we are using Mistral, so we will just include the dependency for Mistral AI. So once we have selected all of the dependencies and entered all of the information, then we can just press generate. And here it will generate the project over here, right? And this project will be in the zip form. So we can just go and open this here, right? So inside that project, you will see all of the project files. Here we have used Maven, so it's getting the POM file, and we are using the Java, so it's getting the Java project structure here. So we have main, where we will have the main Java code, and then test, where we will have the test. And also, if you see here, if you go to the resource properties here, properties file, you will see this file. I can open Notepad, right? So you can see here, this is the name of the application, right? So now we have the startup project created. Okay, let's import this project into IntelliJ. So I have already generated this project and import it into the IntelliJ. So let's go to the IntelliJ and look at the files, uh, you know, which are generated by the Spring Initializr. So first we will go to the pom.xml because it's important file where we have the dependencies and project information, right? So important thing to look over here is the dependencies, right? So here because we specified Spring Web, right? So it's including Spring Boot Starter Web, and also we specified Mistral AI, so it's putting Mistral AI dependencies. So these are two dependencies we have specified from the Spring Slicer, and all other dependencies are by default, Spring includes. So now we have Spring project and POM file created, right? So now next thing is we need to do, we have to specify the API key, right? We will call the Mistral AI model, right? because we have even the starter. So Spring will prepare to inject all of the Mistral AI dependencies and all of the classes and properties automatically in our project path. The only thing we have to specify is the uh, key name, right? Key value, sorry. So for that, we have to go to the application properties file and see here. So there are two properties we have to specify. One is the spring.ai, Mistral AI.api key. So this is the API key. This is the key we generated yesterday. And after that, you have to specify which model we want to use, right? So there are different models based on the size of the models. So here we will use Mistral small model. So these two things you have to specify in the application, and this Spring will automatically look for these properties and will inject those properties into the application, right? So this is the default the default configuration, and also we included some customized configuration over here. Next thing is, because we are building the API, right? So if you know the Spring MVC, right? In that case, we need to define a Spring controller. So Spring controller is the class where our API request will launch. Okay. So now I have already created this one over here for our reference. So here you can see what I have done. So as we have used Spring Mistral AI starter, so for that we have to inject the Mistral client, right? This is a chat client, right? And this chat dot builder, so it will be injected automatically by the Spring application. So when the Spring application will see this controller and will see, okay, this is the object here which has to be injected. So it will look if this object is available in the class path and will inject automatically. So we don't need to do anything. That it's very automatic. Now after that, once we have the build, right, we can build the client. So now we have the client. So this client will handle all of the requests of the model. So now we specified already the API keys, right? So we don't need to worry about that. Spring will take care of them. We only need to specify them in the properties file. After that, here we have the chat client and Mr. Chat client. So here you can see. So this is the client, and here we are creating the constructor, right? So inside constructor, this client is created. So now we have the client ready for calling. Now we have the allow API definition, right? So if you know the history MVC, you know that this is the API endpoint. So what will happen here? If we call our API using this endpoint, then this method will be invoked automatically by the Spring framework, right? And here it doesn't matter what name we do. We give to the method. You can give any arbitrary name, but here you have to specify the request parameters. What we are passing here, we request parameter question. So we are passing a question to the application, and from there, here we have the client. So client, we are passing that question to the client. If you remember from the previous video, when we created insomnia request, we uh, we passed the request body, and the request body was having the user role and the message. So I will just open the insomnia again just to show you and see what all we did in the previous video. So here you go. So if you see here, this is the endpoint for calling the API. So this is the magic, right? We don't need to worry about that because it's Spring will take care of all those endpoints. We have to just specify the dependency. So Spring knows that like which endpoint of the Mistral API need to call, needs to be called. So here we have to just body. So you can see here we have Mistral AI model. We are passing Mistral AI. So here in request body we are passing the model, and also we are passing the message, right? But in from the application, because we are using Spring framework, right? Spring framework will inject automatically the model from the properties file, and also all these endpoints automatically. And here we have the user role and the content. So this is JSON format. In the same format, we have to specify the request in Java program. So let's go there again. So here what we have here, we have the client here. This is a client, right? And then prompt. So prompt will return a chat client request spec, right? You can see here this part, chat client request spec. And there we can specify the user, right? In Somnia, you specify user here, right? Role user, and then content this. So here we have specified the user and then user spec. So we have specified what is the question of the user, right? And then here we are calling that uh, you know AI model or API to the API model. And then after that we are returning the content as string. So what all we are doing from here is same what we are doing from here. Here we are here Insomnia, uh, post the request to the model, and here we are using the API, sorry, Spring framework and Java to do the same thing, right? So here what we have a simple chat API which has endpoint ask, where we can ask the question, and then it will respond us with the answer, right? So let's start this one here. I'm just starting the application, and let's see if get started. Okay, I can see it's started, and then we can see what the port number here, right? So now if you go to the port number 848 from the local system, so let's go there, copy this guy, go to the port number 880 on local host, oh sorry, localhost dot 8080, and then here we can just specify what is the endpoint ask, right? And then here we can put there question equal to what is time in India, right? Same question, like you can just go here and tell me about the job. We can just use this one, right? So here we are passing the content in the request body, but here we can just pass that as parameter, right? So question here. So what is this doing? This is the endpoint here, ask. We have specified in the controller here, right? And then the the parameter question will come here, existing parameter. And then this client will send the request to the AI model and will receive the response and will send the response back to the user. So now if you go again to this one and run it. So let's go and just press here. So now it's going to the this request is going to our application, and our application is calling the endpoint of the AI model and getting the answer. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos.